How's it going? In today's episode, we are going to take a look at some really cool glowing plants. Then we have a story about a new ride-hail service that is running autonomously through Shanghai. We will also take a look at a new twist on wind power, and we're going to wrap everything up with Harvard scientists maybe making a breakthrough in the quest to cure aging. That's right, longer life could be a possibility. I'm Zach. This is ZakDTV, and we're going to start right off with some work that came out of Russia, London. It's a big collaboration that made these glowing plants. How neat is that? Now, to be clear, this isn't the first time glowing plants have been made. I want to say when I first started this channel, they were coming up with stuff like this. But this is the first time that researchers have been able to develop glowing plants that maintain their glow through their whole life cycle. Previously, they only glowed for like a couple hours. They were using bioluminescence out of fireflies, and it worked, but it wasn't efficient. It did glow brighter, but it ran out. These new plants, they've actually included the DNA from glowing mushrooms into the makeup of the plant itself. These things will glow from the time they sprout till the time they die. They glow their whole life cycle. How neat is this, right? How cool is that? This team of 27 researchers from places like Planta, the Russian Academy of Sciences, London Institute of Medical Science, and the Institute of Science and Technology in Austria, they were able to make this happen by taking a molecule that is found in glowing mushrooms that reacts with what's known as caffeic acid. Caffeic acid is found in the cell walls of all plants. So this was like a natural combination then. They were able to take the molecule from the mushroom, put it in the plants, and grow them using the caffeic acid in their cell walls to make this glow happen. Another thing they found in this research was that with this caffeic acid being used to do the bioluminescent part, they thought it might hinder the plant's growth. Well, what they found is that the plants grew fine. In fact, the glowing ones grew a little bit taller than the control group, which doesn't really show them as being better than the control group, but it does show that it's not hurting them. And not only does this not harm the plants, but it also propagates into the seeds. So once you grow stock that glows, the next crop will glow as well. That is what's up. Are you guys ready for a Pandora-like woods? I know I'll be out playing Johnny Appleseed putting these all over the place. Probably not. I'm sure they'll be expensive. On that note, they did spin off a company already called Light Bio, which they plan on selling, ornamental at-home versions of these. And when that comes out, they will at least end up on the shelf behind me. Let me know what you think. Are we ready for a Pandora-like woods? Are we ready for glow-in-the-dark plants that are this cool? I don't know about you, but I am. All right, let's move from the future of glowing lights into the future of autonomous taxis. Like I mentioned in the beginning, riders in Shanghai using Autox, it's a ride-hailing service that has teamed up with Alibaba, can now order taxis that are self-driving, completely autonomous. Not only are they completely autonomous, they can take you anywhere in the city. These are not designed to go on a set route. Like, I know there's autonomous buses at airports and things to that effect. No. This is full autonomous vehicle driving you throughout Shanghai, one of the biggest cities in the world. It is time. When you hail a ride, you can choose between a human or machine, or you could just let the app choose for you, and whichever vehicle is closer will come and get you. But here's a good example of this technology being put into work, put into use during this time, and it will continue on from now on. And just a quick one, of course, I'll link the story in the description. Check it out for yourself. So now that that technology is out of the box, let's take a look at how we may be powering this in the future. A Dutch startup called Ampix Power is working with the European Space Agency to design flying drones that are tethered to a cable that will generate power. This isn't a new idea. We've seen kites that generate power and things like that. But the basic concept is to get a drone into way high altitude flight. I think they're talking a couple hundred meters, 200 meters high, 660 feet in the air. And then having it do like figure eights, controlled patterns. And as it's pulling up and down on that tether, it's basically, picture those little radios where you pump it, pump, and then it allows you to listen to like an emergency radio. It's similar to that. That's the same concept, only using big old drones way up in the sky. Now, according to a spokesman from their company, these drones will be able to produce more energy than our current windmills that are out there, and only use about 1/10 of the material to build. Now, you might ask, well, why is this a big deal? It's a big deal because a lot of the windmills that are up right now are coming to the end of their service life already. Yeah, all those big wind projects that you've seen go on, those don't have a very long lifespan. And you got to think, some of these have been up 20, 30 years at this point. Those will have to come down and be replaced. And that's where this team at Amprex plans on just moving into the market. They say their technology can be tethered to the pads that those windmills are on and immediately be plugged into the grid and used to generate power for cheaper than it would be to put up another windmill. That sounds pretty promising. Now, there is an issue. You have to service these things. You're not going to fly up there in your Zeppelin and service them as they're flying along in the air. No, they've got to come to the ground. And when you do this, you run into issues with like your offshore windmills, your windmills that are high on mountain peaks where there's not a long runway to land these things. So that's part of the team up here with the ESA, is they're working on tracking technology and a landing program that will allow this to land in an extremely small footprint. And they've come up with a satellite tracking technology that is accurate on these gliders, on these drones, to up to 4 inches. That's right. They think that with their landing technology, with their tracking technology, they can put these things down in the space of a pad that they build wind turbines on now. Pretty impressive. We'll just have to see if it works. I hope it does. I think it'll be pretty cool. And we'll just have to keep an eye on this. Of course, links in the description if you want to see more about it. And finally, this one I'm kind of excited for. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm getting a little older. Everybody is. We all age every day. Well, researchers from Harvard think they have identified a molecule that will repair telomeres. Yeah, that's right. When Harvard puts out a paper stating that they have figured out a way to fix what we think causes aging, you sit up and listen. Now, telomeres, if you don't know, are little caps on the ends of our DNA strands. And every time our cells replicate, those caps get smaller and smaller and smaller. They have found that when they can extend these caps, it leads to a longer life. So basically, the concept is these give your DNA a certain amount of replications before the DNA dies off. It makes sense because if the DNA is allowed to replicate too many times, you end up with cancer. These researchers focused on a genetic disease called dyskeratosis congenita that causes the premature aging of cells. Similar to progeria, not quite as crazy. But they focused on this disease because it is rare, and the only treatment for it right now is a very high-risk bone marrow transplant. Now, the science and the paper behind what these researchers did is some pretty intense reading. There will be a link in the description if you want to know more about it. So for the abridged version, though, these researchers went through over 100,000 different chemicals and compounds looking for what would actually stop the destruction of these telomeres with this disease, or even fix them. Well, through a lot of testing, they did come up with something that seemed to inhibit the destruction of the telomeres. They tested this in rodents that they had triggered this disease in, and found that not only did it stop the deterioration of the telomeres, but it returned them to a better length. Not only did it restore the telomere length, but also showed no ill side effects in the rodents. So far, so good. Now, of course, this is very early in the research, but it does show great promise in treating dyskeratosis congenita, and it does seem like there should be some future uses in treating the disease of aging. Sounds like a plan to me. On that note, I'm going to call it a day, though. I'm going to wrap this up. Thank you for stopping by. If you want to read more about anything that I took a look at here, go ahead. Links are, as always, are in the description down below. I'm trying to get videos out a bunch of times a week, so I hope you'll check them out when they come out. I guess with all that being said, just stay safe, wash your hands, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Have a good one.